Hello, everybody. This is Josh Bycer from GameWisdom.com. Welcome back to another episode of Game Wisdom Live. This is going to be for the week of February 2nd, 2017. If you missed last week, I had my birthday yesterday, and I give a shout out to my friend Brian Rubin from Space Game Junkie, who it was his birthday today, so we almost had the same birthday by only a few hours. As always, joining me for our live discussion this week, co-host and contributor to Game Wisdom, James Ellaby.
Howdy, guys.
James, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
I am right now operating on about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I didn't get much sleep last night. I had to go to a temporary job. So there is a good chance I might pass out. So if that happens, James, you will have to take over as emergency host
All
if
right,
that
sounds good.
happens. I hope you're prepared.
I am always prepared. Boy Scouts. Well, actually, I didn't do Boy Scouts, but that's what I hear they say.
Hi, XP. Thanks for the happy birthday wish. All right. So before we get going, I guess a little bit of some updates. As you know, we are in the new month now, so the Patreon has been collected, and we are of course looking for new donations and pledges to help get some new goals added. Right now, we are still at our first goal to get more PlayStation Now footage, which will be including like PlayStation, I think 1 through 3 games, and a Let's Play of Ninja Gaiden Sigma. We also have new rewards currently available. So if you're interested in checking that stuff out, be sure to look at our Patreon. In terms of, I guess, upcoming stuff, I'm thinking about picking up Niho when it comes out next week and maybe turning that into the next big Let's Play on the channel, as Bloodborne is finally starting to wrap up. Someone was asking me if I was going to upload all the Chalice dungeon footage that I did in that game, and oh my goodness, that's a good another 10 to 15 hours, I think, between all the grinding and dying at some of those bosses. Also, this week I uploaded my Diablo 3 anniversary play, which was the 20th anniversary. I can't talk. 20th anniversary quest. And that was kind of interesting. I guess for you, James, I know you've mainly stuck to the consoles. Have you had a chance to try Diablo 3 at all?
Oh yeah, I played Diablo 3 and the expansion. Oh, yeah, I
And
have
you.
a max level witch doctor. I think I have a max level witch doctor with I was on Torment 10, I think.
Hmm. And you have that for the console, right?
I did. Yeah, I had it for the console and I don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It there came a point where I wasn't gaining anything from the game, where it just kind of was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get me wrong. I love grinding, but I generally grind for to increase how strong my character is,
Mm-hmm.
so I can do harder things. And I just got to the point where I wasn't gaining. I wasn't getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So and it kind of just became a turn. I was pointless.
Yeah.
But no, I had fun while I was playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It got to that point. I'm kind of surprised Blizzard hasn't done more in terms of the post game or the end game kind of content. Now, obviously, as we all know, they are working on the expansion that will add in the Necromancer. But I think they could have done more work with the seasons because it doesn't seem like there really is a lot going on. I know right now I've been playing season 9. I've done some streaming of it, and it's still very much more of the same. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it has that same amount of infinite or very close to infinite replayability that something like Diablo 2 had.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's very very different.
Mm-hmm.
And that difference can be I don't know, kind of detriment. I feel like it's kind of detrimental to that long term goal, to that long term repayability goal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you are gonna get a lot of hours of play out of it, but I don't know. I just after a while, it just kind
Mm-hmm.
of gotten monotonous.
Yeah, and it just gets to that point where I really only play it for the season. Really, I play till I get as far as I want in the season journey, and then that's it. Like I don't
Yeah.
feel the desire to play it any more than that.
Hmm.
Now, also this week, I tried out the For Honor beta, and I heard that they're going to have a free beta for everyone next week. So if you want to try it out, James, I think it's going to
Oh yeah,
be.
definitely will.
I think it's the 7th to the 9th, if I remember right from the email I
Mm,
got.
yeah.
I'm curious to see what you think about it because people are comparing it more, at least from my friends, comparing more to like a fighting game than like a
Hmm.
traditional like third person shooter or
Or
third
action,
person.
first an action game. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting to see, and I'm curious about how that's going to do. From what I've been reading, I got some announcements that they're doing a season pass, which is going to add more heroes. That it sounds like they're trying to go along that same model that Rainbow Six Siege did.
Okay.
And Rainbow Six Siege is a very interesting game. It's one of those titles I think I would like to try, but I think I'm just going to be way out of my element trying to play that game.
Yeah, I've always well, actually, I don't know because like when I saw Rainbow Six Siege, my first thought was, oh, this kind of reminds me a little bit of of my gosh, I cannot think of Payday. That kind
Ah,
of reminded me a little bit of Payday.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It might be a little might be similar to Payday and how that plays. There's a lot. I know there's like a lot of setup before
Mm-hmm.
you actually get into the action, which is very similar to Payday. Your gear and how you play your characters. And now I think there's going to be. I don't know how much customization there is in it. When I was looking at some of the stuff and watching a lot of videos, it seemed like the customization was more like just switch more like Call of
Mm-hmm.
Duty customization as
Yeah.
opposed to like Payday, but who knows?
Yeah. And I know they've been trying to push it, and I haven't heard too much about. I know they're trying to do like a season thing with like the DLC, so you have one season pass, and then next
Yeah.
year there's gonna be a second one. And I know we were talking about season pass and such with Injustice too, which I think we'll talk about that in like the next few minutes because I think that's another
Hmm.
really interesting topic. Other
Yeah.
than that, I've been, I guess, playing a little bit more like the modern retro scene. I was trying this game out, All Was Awakening, which is basically like a NES platformer or action adventure game released today.
Okay.
And it was kicking my butt on the stream last night. I basically spent a good 40 minutes wandering around. I couldn't figure out where to go next.
Hmm.
And I'm getting close to finishing it, and I may try a speedrun attempt now that I know what I'm doing in it. So we'll see how that goes. I figure for tonight, after I finish uploading the critical thought, I think I'll probably go back to Diablo 3 and see if I can blaze through 270 and then start the Torment stuff.
Yeah.
The anniversary event, I think, officially ran out on the 31st, so
Hmm.
you can't do that anymore. Rumors are that they may bring it back like once a year, but it's Blizzard. You never know what they're really thinking on that
Yeah,
front.
true.
Speaking of Blizzard, I heard they are announcing some changes for Overwatch. I heard they're going to be rebalancing Bastion in an upcoming patch.
Bastion's gonna be getting a look at. I was actually quite surprised in Overwatch how kind of usually a lot of times in hero champion like
Mm-hmm.
games when you get a new one, well, the newest champion tends to be very overpowered, which for a number of reasons, just seeing where
Mm-hmm.
they want people to play it to be fun when they first try it, but they also want it to see where they need to work out
Mm-hmm.
some of the other characters. Sombra, the newest champion that they released, was not very overpowered at all. Actually, there's actually a lot of people that are complaining about how underpowered she is, which is kind of interesting. And I know that they've been doing some change. They made some recent changes to Diva.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm not gonna continue talking about Diva, or else I will fly into a frantic rage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what Blizzard has to say about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Blizzard is, like I keep saying in a lot of my posts, like Blizzard is one of those analytical companies around. They really just like dig into their mechanics and such. So
Hmm.
I would love to be like a fly on the wall when they're having those design meetings regarding these characters. I've heard, yeah, so they're going to be updating Bastion, and I'm wondering, like, Overwatch is still doing well. I assume. I mean, I think they just had
Yeah,
their
yeah.
Chinese New Year, I think,
Event, yeah,
Yeah.
Chinese New Year event. I think it's going on till the 4th, I believe.
Hmm.
So yeah,
I
yeah, they're
haven't
doing pretty good.
I haven't played the game in a while though. I'm sure I'm going.
Mhm.
I would suck at it if I ever step back into it. I'm kind of curious though, what's been going on with Team Fortress 2? I have not heard
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
huh?
out of it in a very long time.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Team Fortress, which is kind of interesting because you'd think with a lot of Team Fortress 2 being the grandfather
Hmm.
of a lot of these hero shooters, you'd think they'd really be ramping up a lot of their guns, and trying to come up with new stuff and
Hmm.
to try to compete on that level. But I don't know if maybe they're just more, hey, we are who we are, and we'll do with our we'll just keep our fan base for as long as we can. But I
Hmm.
just know that a lot of these hero shooters kind of probably, especially Overwatch, probably
Hmm.
pulled a lot of their fans away. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the Team Fortress page right now, and it looks like their last update was in January, and that was just to announce about them cracking down on like item trading, like gambling accounts, stuff like that. So it looks like they really haven't done like a major like content upgrade to the game since it was like there was something happening in during Christmas, so that would be December. But I'm not
hmm
seeing anything new like in terms of like a major event in a while. Now, of course, with Team Fortress, a lot of their content probably comes from the workshop and people making content for it, so they kind of have
hmm
that going for them.
yeah,
But you would think that they would be a little bit more proactive. But I guess at this point, I don't think Valve really cares about the money with Team Fortress. I think it's
yeah.
probably earned enough if there ever was a game, or up
hmm
there with World of Warcraft.
Well, but I mean, as far as money, I mean, I don't even know about money anymore. But for
Hmm.
them, I think it'd be more about relevance. You know what I mean? It's like I think people have kind of forgotten. I'm not saying they forgot about Valve, but
Hmm.
again, like I said, the new kid on the block is kind of taking the spot, and
Hmm.
you know, with a new baby, kind of comes. I'm not saying they're jealous, but I would love to know what they're thinking right now, what their thoughts
Hmm.
on are about the emergence of hero shooters, and
Hmm.
what their futures are, what their future plan for.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they have to make Half-Life 3, right? I mean,
hmm
maybe in 80 years from now, when we're all
Uh,
cyborgs, we'll get
uh,
Half-Life 3.
you'll get a Half-Life 3 like download or update somewhere. Yeah.
Hmm. Maybe they'll do something like Frog Fractions 2. It'll show up in like a random game. Someone will
Uh,
be playing Goat Simulator 2075, and
and find a mod and a new thing for Half-Life or something. Who
hmm,
knows?
at some point, I should really try Frog Fractions 2. I'm sorry, I did a video on Frog Fractions 1 that I've been sort of saving. I haven't uploaded yet. But that's kind of one of those very weird, I think, touches there in terms of that kind of like meta campaign they were running for it.
Yeah.
El Gore was saying Gaben didn't talk with me about Half Life 3, so I guess that means we don't have it coming out yet.
hmm
I don't know. Maybe we'll check back with Gabe in maybe 10 years. Maybe it's like Groundhog's Day. That if he sees his shadow, it means 20 more years delay
Here's
for
so
Half
it's all
Life 3.
Half-Life 2, Half-Life 3, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Anything else going on? Oh, I did start playing the Skea 2, which of course means that's another 500 hours right there.
Automatically
Yeah.
there, yeah.
I brought out my strategy guide from Double Jump. The thing's like I think it's like 600, 800 page brick of
Oh my
knowledge. You can just
God. Wow.
like the guides from Double Jump. You can just like those are weapons. Like you can just
Uh-huh.
use them as an emergency weapon if someone tries to attack you.
Yeah, I mean, you can either use it as a weapon,
Hmm.
or you can start reciting some
Hmm.
some of the literature from it, like go to a theology class and you'll
Yeah.
see the strategy guide for Disgaea
Yeah.
somewhere on one of those shelves.
Yeah.
Those things are biblical.
You could probably like duct tape the Nocturne and the Skya guy together and just get like a just like some kind of like
hmm
massive weapon there. You could
Uh,
like drop it off a building and knock someone out really with something like that. Oh, let's see. So I'm thinking about playing that on the stream. I don't know if I'm going to do a Let's Play like officially on the channel. I still
Yeah.
have Bastion, and if I'm thinking about doing Niho next week, that's going to probably take up some time.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing that I was hearing about is what's going on with Resident Evil 7. And let me see if there's been any announcements of how well it's doing. Because someone was, I think El Gordo was telling me last night that, oh, here's the news. So according to Gama Sutra, they were expecting more sales, and so far Resident Evil 7 is not meeting expectations.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
and
I
that's
wonder why. I wonder what's. I mean, like I say, Resident Evil is a beloved franchise,
mhm.
but do you think they might have hurt themselves too much with with a couple of their flops that they made? What was that one? Resident Evil Outbreak, I think it was called, or something.
Yeah, there's
That like,
Outbreak. Resident Evil 6 didn't do all that
uh,
well.
yeah,
Um,
I kind of lost track of the Resident Evils. There's just
mhm.
so many
Yeah,
anymore.
I tried Resident Evil 5, and for some reason it just did not click with me. I think the last one that I
Yeah.
really played was Resident Evil 4, and that was kind of like my, oh my god, I can't believe how great this is moment.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Resident Evil 4 is definitely no one's
ooh.
gonna argue with that.
Yeah. So El Gordo was saying in chat that it did 2.5 million the first week, which is actually worse than 5 and 6.
Wow.
Ooh. And 6 especially, I heard that was kind of like the downward spiral moment for the Resident Evil series.
Hmm.
And there's been a lot of talk regarding survival horror back in the AAA market. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of us was really banking on Resident Evil 7 kind of, being like the rising moment there, that we would start to see more AAA horror titles.
Yeah.
And I was watching the Jim Quisition, I think it was either this week or last week, when he talked about Resident Evil 7, and it definitely borrowed a lot from what we've been seeing in the indie market. The first person experience, that
Hmm.
kind of feel of Outlast, but
Yeah.
it does have those things. Um, El Goro saying it used Denuvo, the copy protection on the PC, and it was
Uh-huh.
cracked in 5 days. I'm
Oh,
sure that
really?
didn't help either, and that's
Oh,
that's
wow.
actually a very major point there, because Denuvo was supposedly like the bastion of copy protection. They were saying that it was like the best kind at the moment deal.
Hmm.
I know Man Max had it. I'm sure Shadows of Mordo did, Just Cause. So
Hmm.
for that to be cracked so quickly, then one, it shows just how forward thinking the hacking or the pirating community is. But it's always been an arms race between getting your sales before people crack it, because there
Yeah.
really isn't a 100% uncrackable copy protection.
Yeah.
I still remember the days of Star Force, and oh man, there is one other one. No, Securon, no, Star Force. That was it, like, and how horrible that was, and people were reporting it causing problems, and it got to a point where a lot of people just banned any game that had Star Force copy protection on it.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow.
And that's at least one of the great things about Steam, that it acts as its own form of copy protection, at least at like the basic layer. So you're basically trading in the fact that Steam is DRM, or disk rights management,
Hmm.
and but you of course get the community features, the sales, and all that great stuff wrapped into it. So it's very much a give and take.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, Oh, and according from El Gordo, Denuvo guarantees 3 months of not being able to pirate the game, or they don't get paid, the company. So, ouch.
Wow.
That's going to be
Huh.
a pretty big hit on them, especially with the title like Resident Evil 7 kind of failing there.
Uh,
Let's see, but I really hope it does well enough for them to at least keep going with that, because I don't really want to see them go back to Resident Evil 6 in terms of its design.
hmm.
Let's see. Well, it's doing well review wise. I know they were also doing I'm seeing mixed reviews for Double Dragon 4. Did you hear about that one, James?
No, no, I didn't actually.
They basically made Double Dragon like essentially a sequel to the NES game and released it on the
Hmm.
PC the other day. So
Oh
it
wow.
looks literally like Double Dragon from that NES era. And it's
Hmm.
been getting mixed reviews in terms of how much it adheres to that old school kind of play. Like, they really didn't do anything all that much to modernize it. So you get like
Oh,
the
okay.
cheap hits, the death pits, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And that was something that we talked about before. It's
Hmm.
like what make remaking a game in its direct image is that I mean, if the game had that in there, should we put it in there
Hmm.
or not? Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I it, I still I disagree with that. I still don't
Yeah.
think people should put the flaws
Hmm.
of a game in
Yeah.
when what I mean if the people had the ability to go back and fix that you'd think that they would, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
like I'm talking about like the people that made those games, you know what I mean,
Yeah, like the
that the
texture
original.
popping, stuff
Yeah,
like
and so
that.
yeah, like again, like I said, a lot of the old school developers didn't do that stuff because they
Hmm.
couldn't, you know what I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't. So there were those kind of death pits because maybe they couldn't put the different block features at the right areas, didn't have the frame rates or didn't have the data for it, you know what I mean. So
Hmm.
remaking a game direct, I don't know, that's kind of
Hmm.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and from chat, Double Dragon 4 is not developed by the same team who did Double Dragon Neon, which was essentially like a true sequel. So it featured updated graphics, new stuff along those lines. And
Yeah.
this is going to be based on the critical thought that's going to go up tonight about how we're seeing a lot from the independent market of developers elevating that kind of retro design. So you have stuff like Curse Castelia, Shovel Knight,
Hmm.
Momodora, All Was Awakening, etc. And yes, these are classic games, but they were designed still with like modern sensibilities in some sense. So you have saves, you have checkpoints, and you don't have like those same issues. Enemies spawning due to screen moving, tearing,
Yeah.
audio issues, stuff like that. And I mean, as I said on the critical thought, Shovel Knight is probably the big poster child for this kind of modern retro movement. I mean,
Hmm.
it's been doing amazing for them.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Shovel Knight also, one of the things that they did is they're also using modern technology
Hmm.
to recreate, the old stuff. So
Yeah,
it's not.
it's not them essentially working with NES hardware. Essentially, it's them
Yeah,
essentially emulating the NES feel, but
exactly.
still using the modern design for it. And I'm trying to look on their page to see if there has been any official announcements. So they are actually going to do a Switch update. And let me see what we have. So Shovel Knight 1.0. So they already did Spectre Knight. No, they did Plague Knight alright. They're going to be
Yes,
doing
Plague Knight. Plague Knight
Spectre
was really
Knight
good.
and King Knight. And it doesn't look like there's a official date for it yet. But I know they're going to plan on updating the price for the game. It's going to come with like a fancy new title.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hi, Hypno. Thanks for joining us. And like with something like Shonen, let me see. And it's going to be interesting about how people are going to react to the higher price for it. Now, obviously, actually is a really good question. I want to get your thoughts on this, James, and for those of you watching this live or recorded, what do you think about should games be given the option to bump up the price? I'm talking about, after let's say like a year or 2 years worth of content, and the game is fundamentally different than it was from the start. Because I'm trying to remember, there was a game. Maybe you can help me out with this, James. There's a game released last year that the season pass was going to be bumped up. Oh, I'm sorry. It was I think Elder Scrolls
Elder
Skyrim or
Scrolls.
Fallout.
Yeah,
One of those
yeah.
two.
Fallout. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yep.
And they decide to raise the price of the season pass because of all the
Yeah.
stuff that they added to it. And Shovel Knight, they are going to be bumping up the price when the time comes. And it's a very interesting debate. I know when I spoke with Charles Amos, who was working on what was it, Artisans from a few years ago, we talked about this, and there's that general opinion that you can lower your game's price amount how many times you want, but you really can't raise it
Raise
up.
it. Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting strategy. I mean, I can see the point that Shovel Knight from when it was released. Wow, when was it even released? Like it feels like
I
it's
think it's
been
like what, 6 years ago? No, no, four, like four. The
really.
four, maybe four or five.
Again, time has no meaning to me anymore.
Mhm.
No, it looks. Oh, it was 3 years ago. Whew.
Oh, really? Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So.
Feels like feels like longer. Then
Yeah.
again, like I think it feels like longer also because of the feel of the game. The game style is very much old
Mhm.
school, so like it tends to look older than it really is.
Mhm. Yeah, and so it's coming out for the consoles. I mean, Shovel Knight is surprisingly, I think, a very popular like modern retro game. I'm just kind of surprised that a lot of people took to it since we've been talking about this idea of modern retro design games.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, good on Shovel Knight. I mean, good on Yacht Club Games. I would love to get those guys back on for another podcast. I think it would be great for you to talk to them as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd love to meet those guys.
Hmm. So I guess going back to the question, then, what do you think about that option? Do you think it should be viable to raise the price of a game after enough time has passed, or do you think that's more detrimental?
I think it's more detrimental. That's one of those that you don't. I, to what end are you raising the price of this game? Like that to me says that your marketing team isn't very good.
Hmm.
Because if the marketing team is good, they should have a set fixed price to know of what you're expecting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Gaming, especially when it comes to AAA, hasn't become a haggle yet, and it shouldn't.
Hmm.
AAA shouldn't be haggling yet. You know what I mean? Like that's not their it's not their primary function. Their
Hmm.
primary function isn't to haggle. It's to have a set price, and then let the well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think
Hmm.
that's right.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys about that. Because again, with how like video games, I mean, you can certainly add stuff to a season pass and raise that up because it is adding in more content, but it can only go up so far. And I think as El Gore says that it should just be sold as separate DLC because you don't know if someone's going to like that or not. Now, with some cases, like if the DLC fundamentally changes the game, like in a competitive atmosphere, like Overwatch, Team Fortress League of Legends, and of course that stuff has to be rolled in. But that is obviously a different example than someone like just adding in new content that's to be added over, the course of them being developed.
Yeah.
Now, here's another interesting thing I was reading about that came out today. They just released Fire Emblem Heroes, which is
Hmm.
the mobile pay to, I guess, play or something along those lines Fire Emblem game. So, this is essentially the next Nintendo property that's making the move to the mobile scene. And I've been reading about it, and it's using a form of monetization that I've heard before in the past, but I haven't spent too much time with called Gacha, Gacha.
Never heard of it.
And
What does it entail?
that I was trying to look up, and I'm not finding too many like credible sources. Let's see. Oh, it's basically you put money into something, you get like you basically get like a random prize. It looks like. Let's see. Yeah, so it's like a little toy or something that in Japan that they put in, and you get like a little item. I guess for like the mobile side of things, it's something that you put money into to get like a reward or something in game. So it sounds like it's trying to use like a random progression model, but it's tied to, of course, the monetization side. So you have to put money
Uh,
in. So it reminds me a lot. If that's what that is, it reminds me of when I played Marvel Puzzle Quest and how they had that with in order to get any rewards, you had to spend money, you get a random shot, you get something rare or you get something common. Well, of course, they never tell you what those percentage rates are,
yeah.
and that was a very big deal. I know they're cracking down on that in China, And let me see. According to El Gordo, Nintendo's going to try and put out at least 3 games on mobile a year. Hmm.
Hmm.
Eh. I've
Nintendo
heard.
entering in the mobile
Eh.
market. I think they were learning that they're going to need to step out of their comfort zone.
Hmm. I've heard that Pokemon Go is still doing well. I don't know exactly what's like the up to date profit on it.
Yeah, yeah, but that's also not run by Nintendo,
Yeah.
or I don't even know if they. I mean, I'm sure they receive the some profits off of it, but
Hmm.
that's not run or even very much affiliated with Nintendo, which is kind of awkward in the fact that like Nintendo is usually doesn't let go of their moneymakers. Like
Hmm.
we might be seeing a new Nintendo come 2017. Who knows?
Yeah. And one has to wonder if the new CEO who replaced, I keep forgetting his name, who tragically passed away in, I think, I want to say 2015.
Oh, yeah, and I know who you're talking about, but yeah, I can't think of
Yeah,
his name either.
yeah, it's gonna come back to me at some point, I hope.
Hmm.
But yeah, I wonder if the new CEO is kind of spearheading some of these changes.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, Ben. El Gordo beat me to it, but they did announce that they're estimating the price for the Switch's online service, for multiplayer functionality in the games, to be about $12 a year. Which, if
Uh-huh.
that's the case, that's going to be significantly cheaper than Xbox Gold and the PSN Plus service, which I think is $50 a year.
Uh, yeah, $50 a year for PlayStation Plus. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now, of course, it depends on what they're actually going to give in those features. I know it's going to have online multiplayer functionality and free virtual console games, so it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like it's going to be as encompassing as PSN Plus, which gives you those free games that are yours to keep
Uh-huh.
and discounts
Yeah, I don't.
over, whenever they have a sale, they have a deeper sale for PSN Plus members, which
Hmm.
that is a really smart idea by them.
Oh yeah. I mean, PlayStation Plus has always been a really, really great idea. So anywhere to try to, compete with those or
Hmm.
make a new deal is definitely it's always gonna benefit them. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
keep in mind that these platforms are trying to keep up with Steam, where
Hmm.
what I mean, like they got to keep up with the Steam sales, or
Hmm.
you're gonna start, what I mean, that it's almost a necessity anymore
Hmm.
to try to keep up with with that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and XP's bringing up about Mario Run. There should have been 2 versions, a demo and a paid, and it's kind of one of those very weird things. Like for us, like in terms of like the core gamer market, we understand sort of like the pricing behind these games and their models. But when it comes to the general market, you have to be very clear in terms of how you present these titles. And for a lot of the mobile side, they're used to seeing these games as being free to play, and then you either buy more content or stuff like that. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
used to the slapping a big price tag up front like what we're used to. I
Uh-huh.
mean, for us, I see a game that's like $5-6, I'm gonna buy no, I'm gonna get everything like that and be done with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. And you're not going to see a lot of that around
Hmm.
the mobile market. Definitely not.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how the gotcha model will be working for Fire Emblem Heroes and what's going to happen with the whole loot box scene. As an interesting aside, I don't know if we're still scheduled for this, but I was reaching out to my friend Rahul Sagal, who worked on Bird of Light, and I was seeing if we could get him for a live chat this weekend on Twitch. I
Hmm.
haven't heard anything back from him. He's, I think, in Bangalore, India, or Bangladesh,
Oh, okay.
India.
Bangladesh. Yeah.
So the time difference may be a big problem there. So if we
Hmm.
can't do it this week, we'll try to get him on sooner than later because he actually works on. I think he also works with slot machine design. So I'd be very curious to see what he thinks about the model, especially in terms of the mobile scene.
Yeah,
What
definitely.
and speaking of that, one thing I'm very, very interested in that I haven't heard anything about was the gaming casino that was that appeared in Atlantic City October last year.
Yeah, you were saying something about that.
Eh,
Do you actually know who owns that or like
I don't. I
who's running
wrote
it?
about it, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. Let me see. because I have not heard anything else about it since that initial report.
Yeah.
Uh, is this it? No, that can't be it. I'll have to look up my posts that I wrote about because that's when I mentioned it. But they were testing it in Atlantic City. It was going to be like a soft launch there. Thank
Uh-huh.
you, Goro, about the time difference. With you sleeping 3 hours a day, that won't be a problem for talking to Rahul. It'll be tough in terms of having a good conversation, though.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where. What? Here it is. So it was being run by a company called Gameco. So they put this out in October, and the plan was to test it in Atlantic City, and then if it did well, to move it to like Las Vegas and
Yeah.
do more around that. And I have not heard a peep out of them since their announcement. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of curious. One thing that was kind of interesting was when I voted in November, there was a thing on the polls about opening up more casino access in New Jersey, and
Oh,
it
okay.
was turned down. So I
Hmm.
wonder if that also kind of affected things.
I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm kind of getting back to the point with loot boxes. If the crackdown on China in terms of presenting the percentages starts to kill those, I'm just wondering what will be kind of the next big trend. Because we talked about pay or wait or energy mechanics like 2, 3 years ago. Now we're in the
Mm-hmm.
loot box phase. So the
Yeah.
question is, what's next?
Well, what comes after loot boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be something to see. And probably start looking into some of the mini like some of the mini Korean made RPGs and stuff
Hmm.
like that. It's funny how many like little things you'll learn about from like those little side RPGs and stuff like that that no one's ever heard of, or that are really huge in Korea but
Hmm.
show up for like a month. And, everybody's playing them for like a month, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So
El Gore said, of course, with my sleeping 3 hours a day, I should just get a serum and fill it with coffee or get a syringe. That could work.
uh,
Uh, now here's a
inject directly to the
yeah.
bloodstream.
Now here's something that I thought was very interesting. That was reported yesterday in Gama Sutra. They released the sales figures for the amiibos, and things have died down dramatically.
Oh
From
yeah.
the first year in 2016, they sold about 20.5 million units, and then over quarter 1 through 3 of last time, they sold only 6.5 million. So it's
Huh.
definitely a huge decrease with that. And this was kind of like that post I made earlier in 2016. Like, it doesn't seem like Nintendo is really capitalizing on it. And like I said when I did my talk with Logan about Nintendo Switch, I'm really curious to see if Nintendo will try and double down with the amiibos with Nintendo Switch. Like, if we will see something new with it. Because one of the
Mhm.
advantages of the Switch, obviously, is the portability of it. So obviously, if you're going to be transporting your Switch, you can of course transport an amiibo too. So I'm kind of curious about that, but I wonder if the toys to life market is finally starting to decline in a sense.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't. I think it is. Like, you notice you haven't really heard too much about Skylanders either,
Mm-hmm.
and the Disney Xfinity for whatever that
Mm-hmm.
happened. Or Disney, what's it called, Infinity. What I mean, that kind
Yeah.
of waned down to. I kind of feel like that phase is almost over. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
monetary wise, it's showing the sales figures are confirming that that phase is kind of slowly dying,
Yeah.
if not. Yeah.
Yeah. When I talked with Logan about this on the podcast, the thing that I think that they really messed up on was the fact that they should have had they could have used it as a good way to add DLC to their games and say you can either buy the amiibo and get that DLC included in that, or just buy the DLC separate. So you're not
Yeah.
screwing people out one way or the other. Because I know a
Hmm.
lot of people were really annoyed with what was it? Splatoon and how they had that initial pack with the three amiibos that had unlock exclusive skins and stuff. and then
Yeah.
it's sold out. Now, of course, Nintendo has put those all back in stock. I mean, I'm starting to see amiibos that ran out. I was at Best Buy the other day, and they had them there, but there's just it's just not showing that same amount of excitement.
Yeah.
Logan mentioned what they did with Captain Toad and what they did with the Toad amiibo with that one, which was a really good idea. But I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of that from either Nintendo or the second and third party developers. They
Mm-hmm.
did something similar with Kirby, the Wii Canvas Curse sequel, but
Uh-huh.
it was just like it. It was essentially just like something like a little cheat, essentially. Like you put Kirby on and you get like a Super Ball for one round. But that's not the same as like saying you put Kirby on, you unlock an exclusive course,
Yeah, very
or
true.
advanced challenges, or stuff like that.
Yeah. I felt like they made all this new that all these toys, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't add any real content to what the toys were supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
do. So yeah,
Yeah.
then you're kind of just stuck with a toy. It's
I
you
mean,
know.
it's a collectible toy nonetheless, but
Hmm.
it's not the same thing as we see with Lego and Skylanders.
Yeah, and you're dealing with gamers here too, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
that collectible toy is only going to go so far. At the end of the day, people want content, not what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, not characters.
Yeah. And I'm looking up what's going on with Lego Dimensions. So they're going to add, let's see, Harry Potter, Goonies, and Knight Riders. I know with the Lego Batman coming out in I think a few weeks, or maybe even like next week or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's coming out soon.
I'm sure that's going to re-energize the Lego brand.
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, I haven't heard too much about Skylanders. Let's see. I know they just released one a few months ago.
Did they?
Yeah. Let's see. Skylanders, the Trap Team. I can go to their Wikipedia page and see, hopefully, like what is coming soon. Imaginators. Is that a new one or an old one?
Imaginators. That sounds like one of their newest ones. I think that's one where you can mix and match. I
Hmm.
think different like make your own. It's basically like a make your own Skylanders. So
Hmm. Let's see. Skylanders Trap Force. Yeah, Imaginators was the last one released in October of 2016. And that's kind of interesting because I did not hear almost anything about that one. And that was
hmm
supposedly the one that also had Crash Bandicoot and the guys from the Crash Bandicoot series in that
uh,
one. So yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, I feel like the mark. I saw a couple of marketing spots and whatnot, but I do feel like the marketing has been significantly less on Skylanders than it used to be. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I don't know, not that they have given up or anything. Just I think it's been I think it's been less. I'd love to see what their sales figures are though too.
Mm. Oh, XP something about a guy was supposedly he was trying to make a game, but he's making a documentary instead. He's trying to sell it on Steam or something like that. That's weird.
It's trying to sell a documentary on
Of him
Steam.
trying to make a game.
Oh, uh,
That's weird.
what? But it's a documentary.
Someway he's making a movie called Surviving Indie. Huh. And apparently it's trying to be him trying to make a game. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So it's a movie. Okay. And someone on there was making problems. Huh. Huh. That's weird. Yeah. Let's see. Talking about what it means to be an indie, what it means to be creative. Huh. And it's definitely interesting. There was a post on Gama Sutra about sort of like that blurring of the lines between indie and AAA developers. Again, about how we're seeing a lot of triple of indie developers really becoming major players.
Hmm.
So that's going to be kind of interesting about that, like stuff like Hyper Light Drifter, and again, this goes back to that critical thought we talked about a few weeks ago about what it means to be an indie developer these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. My friend just sent me a message. He's trying to get back into Dark Souls 2 again. Oh, good
Huh.
luck with that.
Into Dark Souls. I still think there would be a lot of money if they do a Dark Souls
Mm,
remastered. Come on, fellas, you know you want it. Dark Souls remastered on the PlayStation 4, on the PlayStation,
mm-hmm,
on all consoles, including computer. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Update the Imagine playing the original Dark Souls with slightly updated graphics. You know what I mean? A better UI, like just up like Dark Souls remastered. Come on, like I think
Mm-hmm.
they would make a good chunk of change. Heck, if you put it on, I think there's people that would even pay full price for that. That would pay
Mm-hmm.
full price. I mean, come on, you're remastering Skyrim and people are buying it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be perfectly fine if they remastered Dark Souls 1, the original Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I think they'd be surprised at how many people would bite for that.
Yeah, and Laura was saying it would be great to have like a collection, like a Demon Dark Souls collection.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I would
Yeah.
love, even though I already have it, it would be fantastic if they ever decide to bring Bloodborne over to the PC. But I think that's pretty much locked to Sony right now.
I think that's not locked to that's locked to Sony.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be fantastic. And again, I'm really interested to see how Niho will do in terms of it's not quite Dark Souls, but it's not quite Ninja Gaiden. So it's
Yeah.
somewhere in between.
Yeah. That's going to be kind of interesting to see where that and we'll see where that kind of takes its place because it does have to compete with like people
Hmm.
who have already have they know Dark Souls and they know let's just call it Blood Souls. They know the Blood Souls franchise, and
Hmm.
I feel like Niho is going to get you're not going to be able to to play it without making some comparisons to
Hmm.
the Blood Souls franchise. So
Yeah. And I've heard some complaints about that because it is such a different feel to it. It also has randomly generated loot like Diablo, which is
oh really?
fascinating. Yeah.
Oh, that I didn't know. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that actually could. Well, ran, like randomly generated loot.
It's based on like five different weapon classes, but you have loot randomly generated in terms of rarity and then
Uh-huh.
modifiers and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
actually might help set it apart from Dark Souls too, because
Yeah.
Dark Souls doesn't. Dark Souls has uh loot
All
drops, but not random.
yeah, it's
Nothing.
all
It's not.
set weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all. Well, it's set weapons, but there are also like uh drops from trash mobs, but
Hmm.
they're fixed drops. Like if I kill a undead warrior 18 times, I'm going to start getting his armor. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah.
start seeing that armor drop. So,
Hmm.
hmm,
So that's
very
going to be
interesting.
interesting. Now, the one thing that I think is going to be really telling is the fact that it's not an open world structure. It's more akin to Demon Souls, where you go on, where you
Mm,
have these maps that are sort of like a self-contained mission in a sense.
okay. Huh.
Hmm.
That's weird. That is kind of weird. That'll be really interesting to see. It almost reminds me a little bit of have you played it's like Monster Hunter but with Japanese demons.
That God Eater game.
No. It's
Mm.
specifically like traditional Japanese stuff. And I cannot think of the
Is it that
name.
Soul Sacrifice game?
No. Soul Sacrifice is about mages. This one is specific. Like, you're in an old like Japanese ninja
Mm.
village, and you're a monster slayer. Tokiden. That's what it's called.
No,
Have you heard or played Tokiden?
I have not.
Oh, okay. It is Monster Hunter, but with with traditional Japanese elements. Very much. They really went hardcore um, on the action element. It
Mm.
definitely follows under that, the boss monster fighting styles. But
Mm.
like it's very much like that, where like you have a fixed map and you run around the map, and that's what you're doing. You're killing things that are in the map. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And looks like it was published by Koei Tecmo too, which
Yep.
is
Holy
also
Tecmo.
doing Niho.
Oh, really? Oh, same
Mm-hmm.
people. Okay, so yeah, no wonder. Yeah, probably might have that same feel to it. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's being developed by Team Ninja, who they haven't been too much in the news lately.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be kind of interesting to see Team Ninja now. I don't know, is the because who's the guy that started Team Ninja? I don't know if he's actually even on it anymore.
No, the guy who's like he was famous for wearing like sunglasses all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember there's a big stink about him not being on
Yeah,
Team Ninja anymore.
yeah, he's not on there. I know he worked on a game for the Wii or the Wii U that did not do well. But
Hmm.
I think what was it, Tomonobu Irigari? Is that it? Or I may be mixing up with someone else.
Sounds familiar. But like it'll be kind of interesting to see kind of a new Team Ninja not
Mm,
being led by him. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
see,
I think this is going to be one of their a larger project. I think because the last game that I remember Team Ninja working on was that last Metal Gear game with the what was it?
Revengeance.
No, it was one where yeah, something like that. I think it's Revengeance or whatever. It's one with like the slashing sword stuff.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and that one's been out for a while, and it's kind of like weird. Like now we're seeing like that Metal Gear Solid game that's like a zombie game or sword
yeah,
zombie, and of
yeah.
course everyone's can't wait to play the Metal Gear Solid 3 Pachinko game. I'm sure that's going to win a lot of
Gosh,
awards.
that'll be kind of interesting. Well, and some of those you can tell are very much Japanese fan, you know, inspired. You know that's pachinko is a huge big seller in Japan because there's no gambling there. So that's basically what their gambling is. So yeah. And that's you know keep in mind when you share when you do share a huge market with Japan, you're going to see a lot of games that are made for a Japanese audience. You know what I mean?
Hmm. I think you, El Gordo and Chad, I think you may be confusing Team Ninja with Platinum Games. I think Platinum Games is the one who did Transformers and TMNT. I'm trying to think what was the last game Team Ninja did. Let's see. Where is it?
Yes, to say I thought Metal Gear Solid Revengeance was that's not the last game they did.
Uh, let's see. They are doing. Well, of course, they're doing Neo. Oh, they did Dead or Alive Extreme 3, Hyrule Warrior. Really? Hyrule Warriors
Really?
did that?
Oh wow, that is kind of a
Hmm.
shocker.
Yes, that is.
Kind of a pleasant shocker because I heard Hyrule Warriors was pretty good.
It
I
was.
don't know what the sales figures were, but I did hear
Oh,
that.
they did the handheld version. That's it. They didn't do
Ah,
the major
okay.
one. Last Ninja Gaiden was co-developed. It was Ninja Gaiden Z in 2014, according to Wikipedia. I heard that one just did okay, and accordingly, they did the enhanced version of that Tokiden game. Uh,
Oh, Tokiden Kiwami.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
okay. So yeah, that was them.
So they see. Oh, they did. Really, they did Decidia Final Fantasy, that very weird fighting game for the PSP.
Yeah, yeah, I
Hmm.
remember those games. Yeah.
I had
Oh,
no idea they actually worked on those titles. They're also supposedly going to be co-developing Fire Emblem Warriors. So then now there's going to be a um, Fire Emblem Dynasty Warriors, just like Legend of Zelda.
that'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, they did. Elgor, they did do the previous Ninja Gaiden number 3, which I heard did not do so well. Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. Let's
Hmm.
see. And it was considered largely mixed or average. I really enjoy Ninja Gaiden Black. Oh, they also. Let's see. Did they also work on a game that was canceled? I'm not sure. Now, I know Platinum Games, they just had that game that was canceled. But I'm not sure about Team Ninja.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that I don't know.
Yeah, last one they said was Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and then Ninja Gaiden 3. They kind of got, they kept updating a lot of these games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, and the guy was Tomonobu Irigai. That was the previous head
Ah,
who
okay.
left. Let's see. Yeah, he was working on a game called Devil's Third, which I heard did pretty much bomb from what they were saying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's always interesting about when you see these major figureheads step away from their companies, especially
Hmm.
what we saw with like Hideo Kojima leaving Konami, and what's been going on with Konami since then.
That is kind of interesting because too, you also have a lot of these guys have been in the gaming industry for a very long time.
Hmm. Let me check our time. We are just about going to hit an hour in. So I think let's move on to, I guess, one final topic then for tonight. And I think this goes back to what we were talking about before the cast regarding injustice. I think this will be another interesting topic.
Uh,
For those of you who didn't hear about like I did, they are announcing the bundles for Injustice 2, and they're doing the similar thing that different bundles for different amounts of DLC to come with it. So there's the $99 bundle that has, I think, 9 characters, we said, and it's probably going to be annoying people about that.
Is and the only thing that's really pissed me off is that it's characters.
Mm-hmm.
I would be okay with anything else. You want to do skins, super mega ultimate deluxe skins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you want to have freaking Batman wearing a tutu and Superman wearing a bikini, whatever. But when you say you can't have characters without and like, okay, it's different than, and it's very different than like NetherRealms did with their Mortal Kombat X series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can understand. Hey, if you want we'll add characters later. We're gonna add characters later on, and you can and then you have to pay a little extra for those characters that we added in. But when you're like, literally NetherRealms right now with Injustice 2 is saying to their customers, hey, we already made these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Pay more for them. Like, what? We don't even know if we want your game. We don't even know if you like your game yet. Like, the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's shady. It's shady. It's sleazy, and they have to know it. There's no way they cannot. I don't, guys. Please, if you guys think I'm wrong, man, I'm just crazy. Then let me know. But no. There's no. I just no.
Have they announced if those 9 characters will be available as separate, or is the only way to get them through the Ultimate Edition?
I think the only way to get them is the Ultimate Edition. That's all I've heard. I don't know. I don't know though. Keep in mind, but even still, like at this point, it's the principle. Like you are telling people if they don't have enough money, they can't have the full game. Like, and what it's going to do is also going to create dissonance in the fighting game community. Because guess what? You're not going to have access to certain characters if you didn't pay $100. Which means you don't know how to play against those characters.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? And not even just and I think in their brains it's just all, oh, well, they don't get to play them. Well, no, we also don't get to play against them to learn how they work and operate, which sets anybody who wants to learn the fighting game mechanic stuff behind. It is...
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a shady, crappy process. What they're doing.
Yeah, and as El Gordo was saying in chat, as you were just saying as well, James, it segregates the player base, and the fact that they're saying this before the game is even out also implies that this is cut content. This is stuff that's already been developed, and
and we did this already. We did this already with Capcom versus Tekken X Capcom X Tekken, or was it no, it's Tekken X Street Fighter.
Yeah,
we did this.
Mortal Kombat 10 as well.
Did Mortal Kombat 10 already have the DLC characters hidden in the disc drive? Or
oh, they had Baraka, Rain. They were all playable in the story mode, but you couldn't play them until they unlocked them via DLC.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and that's what we were talking about in an earlier critical thought and one of these discussions, that there's a difference between developing post-release support and on the disc / day one. Like, if it's already available, like if you've already worked on it and you're just locking it away, then that is kind of shady, or it is shady. But if it's something, if you're working on a game 5 months down the line and you create new characters, like they did with Street Fighter V, that's a different story.
Yeah.
It's not like all those characters like Guile, Akuma, etc., were already playable in Street Fighter V or already finished in some regard. Now,
Yeah.
of course, we can argue a lot more about how they botched the launch, but that's another topic right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as Algora says, yep, that's pretty much why people wait for definitive editions. They're not going to. Why should they buy the normal version when they can wait 6, 7 months down the line, maybe get the definitive version 30, 40, 50% off? I mean, Doom was already half off and wasn't even a year old.
Yeah, I can see that too, but and I guess patience and whatnot, but like,
Mm-hmm.
come on, like, it's still shady.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have, if if I've bought your games and I've been a loyal customer, don't
Mm-hmm.
punish me by going, oh well, you didn't pay enough for the game. That
Mm-hmm.
like that is just that's shady process. That's a shady. I don't know. I really don't like when they come out with new characters later on down the road, where like it's just like, and I understand like if they make something after they've already completed the game, that's one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
when you specifically
Mm-hmm.
when you specifically add things to the when you specifically go, hey, we had this all along, but you don't have access to it because you didn't pay enough. It's a unnecessary paywalls are just a douchey move, and they know it. They have to know it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I have no. I've lost a lot of respect for NetherRealm Studios.
Mm-hmm. And as Algora says, they know that the fighting fans will buy them to remain competitive. Because of
I,
course they are. Because,
Yeah, okay, but which fighting game fans? Because
mm-hmm.
there's two communities. There's
Mm-hmm.
always two communities in any game when you're talking about competitive. The competitive scene and
Mm-hmm.
the people that play the people that like playing the game. They might not play competitively. They might be not be on like ESL or like we're not talking not everybody is Sonic Fox here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yes, Sonic Fox is going to buy the game no matter how much it costs. That's he's getting paid to do that. Like the rest of us have to sit and suffer because we didn't have $100 to get
Mm-hmm.
a character that was already in the game.
Yeah.
Like
And that
that's
kind of goes back to the problem with Street Fighter V and how they try to position it completely for the competitive community, but completely screwed the casual and the normal players
yeah.
in
Well, guess
terms
what?
of.
Your competitive community is never gonna grow when you
Mm-hmm.
keep doing shady crap like that and
Mm-hmm.
excluding them
Yeah.
and just flat out excluding them. Going up, you didn't pay enough, so you're
Mm-hmm.
never, yeah, you won't be competitive. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
literally, it would be like if tennis decided, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make people that don't play tennis normally. We're gonna make them pay extra for a racket. We're gonna make them play
Mm-hmm.
extra for a ball and a court. You know, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't do it in any other venue.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing it? Why would you do it here? And
Yeah.
why is it being allowed here?
Yeah. And it will also be like if Blizzard decides to sell like unit packs for StarCraft 2. Like every 2, 3 months, release like 2, 3 more units for each of the sides for multiplayer mode. Like
Yeah,
when it comes to competitive design, everyone needs to be on equal footing for it to work.
yeah,
And as we've talked about before, when it comes to competitive games, if they sense even like a whiff of pay to win, the competitive community is going to drop out of that so fast because they're
yeah.
not going to want to deal with that.
And
And
you're gonna lose. You're gonna
mhm,
lose new people. You're gonna lose longtime people. And no offense, but and I keep saying Sonic Fox, but he's one of the most famous like
mhm,
professional fighting game players. Like he can't keep a game going by himself.
mhm,
He can't. Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm sorry, you can't have
mhm,
15 guys on the pro scene and we only make video games for them.
mhm,
Like that upsets me. And I have no problem with pro scenes. I love watching
mhm,
pro games. I just you should not be making a game specifically with the pro scene, specifically for pro players. That is
mhm.
not why games should be made.
Yeah, and
People should have access to everything that the pro players have access to. That's part of the
mhm,
game. That's why
yeah,
that's you know
yeah. And again, if this was stuff that's developed like along the same lines, again, like in the future, that everyone gets access to, or spends $3-4 for a new character, something like that, that would be different. But if you're immediately segregating your community right from the word go, it's going to be very hard for things to catch up. And as we've seen in the past, you really have a limited window to see if these games will catch on. Now, Street Fighter, of course, had, as we were saying, the already built community, the guys who play Street Fighter 4 and all those iterations. But
Yeah.
again, if you're just marketing it towards the high level competitive crowd, your community is never going to grow. I mean,
Yep.
it's one of the reasons why Riot Games has been so aggressive with trying to stomp out the toxicity of its community and trying to make it more welcoming for new players. Because
Yeah.
they know it's not going to grow if the second someone joins, they're going to be yelled at for 20 minutes straight. Just as with a fighting game, if I buy and then I hear, oh, if you want everything, you gotta give me $20 more. Or
Yeah.
immediately you start playing, you play against someone who kicks your ass with a character that you never knew about, that you didn't even have the option to buy. And
Yeah.
that actually raises another point that may be too big for this discussion right now. But there's also the growing debate about Kickstarter exclusive content, not just like skins, but if you include like unique characters, unique gear, stuff that is only available for the Kickstarter, and then what happens when you try and sell the game. Because there's been a lot of complaints from consumers about that, because they may not have even heard of the Kickstarter. And I think, as you can probably attest with me, James, we don't like being told that our game is only 90% complete. That,
Yeah.
oh, you weren't around in 2012 for the 1 month Kickstarter. Well, all this content you can't get anymore,
You can't get it. Yep. Yeah.
and
And
it's
it's all
going
part of the game.
forever.
You just not part of your game.
Hmm And it's kind of that. Yeah. Thank you, Algora. Delusion, which I'm butchering right there. It's a submarine-based combat game that Algora was telling about. Sort of be like, it's like sort of like elements of Dark Souls and FTL, but in a submarine, like future water world kind of thing.
Mm.
And the Kickstarter, one of the rewards was an exclusive submarine of a class that, from what I was reading, is not available anywhere else unless you back the Kickstarter at that price.
Wow.
And that kind of stuff that really rubs me the wrong way. I mean, I'm still kind of annoyed with the Darkest Dungeon. They had the exclusive Arbalest Kickstarter skin, but it was just like too much money for me to afford at that time. Like, I think I
Yeah.
got the $20. I pledged $20, and I think the skin was $30, kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
But of course, this raises that point that if you didn't have that money at that exact moment, you're never going to get that content again.
Yep. Yeah. I think Overwatch did that with Overwatch did that with one of their skins.
Hmm
With one of their whatchamacallit skins. Genji, I think it was.
hmm
Where you had to play a special event
hmm
for on Heroes of the Storm
hmm
in order to unlock a Genji skin. And if
hmm
you miss that, well, you get to look at the Genji skin and know you'll never get it
Yeah,
ever again.
and Diablo does that as well with the pets. Like, for each season of the game, they throw in a custom portrait and a custom pet that you can get if you complete the 4 chapters of the season journey. So if
Yeah.
you decide to take a season off, or you can't play or anything like that, you lose access to that pet. Now, of course, there's different tiers of this. If we're talking about like a skin, it
Yeah.
hurts, but it's not the same as saying that, oh, there's a mission or an exclusive character, but you can't play it.
Yeah.
And there's always that um, debate about if you should just be able to sell that, like as like additional content.
Hmm. And you should. I think
Hmm
you should. Like, that is what I want to pay for. I
Mm-hmm.
want to pay for something like that. Like I'll give you $9 for some super awesome skin that
Mm-hmm.
so I'll pay you money for a skin. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem for that. You put in the work to make the graphics and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, the changes. I'll throw you $5 to $10 for a skin.
Mm-hmm.
I should not have to throw you $5 to $10 for a character that was already made.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally just you are giving me a hamburger. I am paying full price for a hamburger, and then you didn't put cheese. You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bread. There's no
Mm-hmm.
bread. It's literally just a hamburger. Well, if you want bread, that's going to be another extra $20. If you want cheese, that's going to be another extra $10. Oh, you want lettuce?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be another extra $14. You want the ability to put ketchup and mayonnaise on it? Pay $14.99 a month. Like what? Get out of here with that nonsense.
Yeah, and again, like as you're saying, like as long as the option is available, it's still as something that people can buy. But
Yeah.
once it becomes locked like that, it just again it becomes useless content essentially. Now I'm
Yeah.
trying to look up Del Delavu oh my god, I can't pronounce it. It's going to be like Bethesda again for a
What
while
what
from
what is it?
Diluvion.
DIL
Uvion. Diluvian? Diluvian?
Diluvent? Diluvent?
Well, at least you can't pronounce either, so that's I don't feel
Well,
too
I
bad.
haven't seen it either. Yeah.
So I'm trying to look on their forum about. Now I was looking on their Kickstarter. I think the tier that they were talking about was $99, but that says it's for a variant. So I don't know if that's the actual sub.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Diljuvian. I'm going to stop saying because we'll be here for 20 more minutes of
Uh,
me trying to pronounce this game.
yeah.
Let me see here. So they have like the premium variants for the subs, and then there are the larger ones. But yeah, it's definitely one that it's going to be one of those titles that I think you have to watch out for with your Kickstarters. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of Kickstarters, I know that Sunless Sea, the guy Fail Better Games, who's been frequent fans and guests for the live and record talks, they officially got their Kickstarter in like one day for Sunless Skies, which is
Okay.
the sequel to, of course, Sunless Sea, based in the Fallen London universe.
Mm.
Let me see, where are they at right now? They were asking for. Alright, so asking for 120, just about a little over 126,000. They're now at 224,000 as of right now. And they did it in one day.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Mm. So that is so good on them for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Trying to see what their stretch goals are. I liked Sunless Sea, but it kind of felt it it felt like it was more story based more than the gameplay, and that's kind of
Uh,
their mo. They are very much about their storytelling, narratives, and their writing. Anyone who's played Fallen London can certainly attest to that.
yeah.
Let me see. So their goals are. Oh, these are social goals. Uh, coffee for everyone. Kickstarter backers. Yeah, they definitely have quite a bit of. Okay, here they are. So new character origin. So that was pass. Legendary Rex. All right, so they're going to open up the option for smuggling as one of the modes. All
Hmm.
right. Yeah, and I'm sure they probably got a few more. And I'm definitely interested to see how they take things further in terms of trying to add more game mechanic elements to their already narrative rich worlds. And
Yeah.
a game that they helped develop, or they were helping the guy, a house with many doors. I know that is still being worked on. Let me see. Did I get that right? A house of many doors, or a house with many doors. A house of many doors. There we go. I talked with the creator, Harry Tufts, I think like 2, 3 years ago about it.
Hmm.
And let's see what is up with that. Is it coming out already? Oh, wow. It's actually coming out in like 3 or 4 days. Interesting. I gotta see if I can get um, a key for that and check that one out. But yeah, let me see. What's our time? Because I know we're starting to get, yeah, we're starting to run a little bit long.
Hmm.
I think we'll start to wrap things up. I need to post tonight's critical thought, and then I think I will do some Diablo 3 streaming and see if I can finish All Walls Awakening, and then maybe try and do a live run of it from start to finish.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, do you have any topics you want to talk about, James?
No, no, I think that's it.
All right. Someone Marcus and chat was posting about issues with being in the WWE and why Ryback left. I'm unfortunately I don't follow wrestling all that much, so I don't have anything to say on that. Sadly,
I haven't watched wrestling in a very long time, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wrestling and sports are two things I don't are two of my blind spots. I think in terms of uh, knowledge there. But let's wrap things up. For those of you watching this live, tonight's critical thought about modern retro games should be going up in probably the next 20 minutes. I just have to put all those lovely tags and make the little thumbnail art for it. And that will be up. I'll probably do a stream maybe in like 30 minutes or so. And I'm not even sure what our podcast will be for tomorrow. I'm going to have to look that up when I get back from my temporary job. But we'll see. Yeah, so February 3rd for House of Many Doors. But we'll see what happens then. Other than that, like I said, I will be thinking about trying to get a copy of Niho and trying and maybe doing a let's play or a stream of that when it's released in next week. Other than that, like I always say, if you like to, for those of you watching, if you like to be a guest, or if there's any games you would like to suggest for us to look at, either on the channel, stream, whatever, let me know anyway. Comment, send me an email, stuff like that. But otherwise, that is going to do it. So, James, thanks once again for coming on. I think we had a great conversation.
Yeah, no, definitely. Always a pleasure.
All right. So, other than that, we'll wrap things up for this week. For those of you who've been watching this live, thank you so much for coming on. And of course, for those of you watching this recorded on YouTube the next day. But otherwise, we'll end things here. Like I said, for those of you watching this live, I'll be back in a few minutes for a stream. But for those of you watching this recorded, have a great night. And got a very interesting critical thought planned for Saturday. So be sure to check that out. But otherwise, I will talk to you all then, and we will talk to you all again live next week, hopefully around 8 Eastern here on Twitch. So until then, have a great night, and talk to you all soon.